Ella Weaver. Ella is wearing a denim romper with buttons on her left side. She paired the outfit with a versatile white sweater and brown sandals and a white bow. The total price of her outfit was $48. Her accessories included a big white hair bow and sandals. Her hobbies and activities include taking care of her livestock as well as playing volleyball and softball. Macy Hampton. She is wearing a teal cotton romper with a partial button front and tie shoulder straps. The price of her outfit was $0 because it was all pre-owned. Accessories included a white scrunchie and slip-on gladiator sandals. Her hobbies and activities include making videos on her phone and hanging out with her family and friends. Marley Ayers. She got her black leather jacket at a secondhand store, the black capri leggings she's had for over a year, as well as the choker necklace and headband. The total price of her outfit was $10. She got her black sandals around Easter with her Easter dress. The headband and necklace she got as a birthday gift a year ago, and she's also wearing a set of diamond stud earrings. Her hobbies and activities include that she loves being outside, riding horses, walking her dogs, and jumping on her trampoline. Olivia Fiesbeck. She is wearing a white dress with flowers on it. Her shoes are white sandals with flowers also. The total price of her outfit was $23. Her accessories include a rose gold bow earrings and a silver puzzle piece necklace. Her hobbies and activities include playing softball, Girl Scouts, playing with her pigs and cats, and she is also the Hoosier State Petite Miss Agribusiness. Raylan Ramsey. She is wearing a unicorn t-shirt with jean pants. The total price of her outfit was $16.48. Her accessories include wearing blue and yellow flip-flops and a best friend necklace. Her hobbies and activities include art, crafting, archery, and softball. Farrah Cohen. Farrah chose this outfit because she fell in love with the skirt that she found on an online boutique. The olive green button front skirt is cute and trendy and goes with clothing and accessories she already owned. She chose to wear a black high-neck tank and black booties with it. The total price of her outfit was $20 for the skirt and approximately $50 for all of her other owned items. Her accessories included a gold bar necklace, a single gold bang, gold-rimmed aviator sunglasses, a crossbody purse with gold zippers, black tie wedge booties, and a black wide-rimmed hat. Her hobbies and activities include running for the school track team and the cross-country team. She also enjoys boating with her family and making messy art projects. Katie Hampton. She is wearing blue cotton high-waisted shorts with a belt, a white seersucker crop top with cap sleeves, and a kimono with dark blue flowers paired with white gladiator sandals. The price of her outfit was $117.70. Her accessories included a gold necklace with moon and star accents. For her hobbies and activities, Katie is involved in competitive cheer, and in March, she even got to compete at Walt Disney World. She also enjoys hanging with friends and family. Ella Weaver. Ella saw a skirt online, and that is what inspired this design. She chose a simple red fabric and added extra color with the blue buttons, which match her top. For accessories, a cherry top, which she made for Sew for Fun, is perfect with the red skirt. Sandals and a hair bow finished off the look. Her hobbies and activities include enjoying school, participating in Triton Trickster's jump rope team, and hanging with her cousins and sisters. Abigail Hawk. Her pattern and fabric is solid light yellow dress shirt. Her accessories include a dress floral skirt with black flip-flops. Her hobbies and activities include playing basketball, volleyball, softball, running, playing with her dog, reading, swimming, and baking. Farrah Cohen. For her pattern and fabric, she chose white cotton embroidered eyelet fabric for baby doll tie top and lightweight with a liner, blue seersucker for the wide leg loose fitting pants. To coordinate with her sweet light summer outfit, Farrah accessorized with a delicate silver chain necklace, a silver ring, single silver bangle, and single silver stud earrings. She also sewed a headband out of extra fabric used to make her pants. Farrah enjoys competing on her school robotics team, playing basketball, running many miles, and making friendship bracelets. Brooke Haney. Her pattern is a formal dress with drape over the left shoulder. The fabric is a light pink satin with drape. Her accessories include dangling earrings with white thick heeled shoes. For her hobbies and activities, she loves to sew. In school, she took part in Student Council, Sunshine Society, National Honor Society, Girl Scouts, 4-H, and more. Ella Weaver. Ella's choice in top was inspired by an outfit she saw online. She thought the cherry pattern on the fabric was super cute. Ella's red skirt was also made by her to go with this cherry top. Of course, a big bow and cute shoes always make any outfit better. Ella has spent her summer taking care of livestock and swimming with her sister and cousins. Marley Ayers. Marley's fabric was 100% rayon accent with ribbon stripes and ties, which are polyester. Her accessories included a long necklace, diamond stud earrings, black sandal wedges, and a few black bangle bracelets. She also had a small handbag with fringe. For her activities, Marley enjoys taking walks with her mom, brother, and her dogs. She also loves to go swimming and jump on her trampoline. Abigail Hawk. Abigail's fabric was gray and white zigzag to make a mask. This could be used as Sunday attire or anything else. Her hobbies and activities include playing softball, basketball, volleyball, running, swimming, reading, and baking.
I still remember the moment that I opened up my email to read that I was accepted to be a delegate for Indiana at the 99th Annual National 4-H Congress. I immediately called my mom and told her all the details, and on that day, the long await to Atlanta, Georgia began. The National 4-H Congress is an event through the 4-H program that's very little talked about, but it's one that I had the opportunity to attend this past November and has since then changed my life. Now I vow to advocate for National 4-H Congress and all that it has to teach. Today, we'll talk about what National 4-H Congress is, what the purpose of Congress happens to be about, what you do at Congress, and if this seems interesting at the end, we'll find out how you could possibly attend National 4-H Congress in the future. First, we have to answer, what is National 4-H Congress? Believe it or not, National 4-H Congress this year is celebrating its 100th year, a century of empowering youth. Began in 1920 as an educational 4-H tour in Chicago during the International Livestock Exposition, the National 4-H Congress was meant to bring 4-Hers across the country for different reasons. But in 1922, it was renamed the National Boys and Girls Club Exposition. And this is how it stayed until 1996. And the location went from Chicago to Memphis, Tennessee. But 2 years later, it was then changed again in 1998 to Atlanta, Georgia, where it still stands today. Understanding the history of National 4-H Congress, we can dive into the purpose of what National 4-H Congress is. First and foremost, it helps to enhance your leadership skills. 4-H is all about learning how to use our heads for clearer thinking, our hearts to greater loyalty, our hands to larger service, and our health to better living. For my club, my community, my country, and my world. And National 4-H Congress pushes exactly that. Whether it's workshops, sessions, or breakout activities, you're learning new leadership skills every single day at every single moment. At the same time, you're gaining new ideas to bring back to your home state. You're meeting delegates from across the country, from Washington to Florida and Maine all the way to California and everything in between. Every 4-H program is different. In every conversation you have with another delegate, you can have the possibility to bring in new ideas back to your home state. But these last 2 points of the purpose of National 4-H Congress have to be my favorite. Understanding cultural diversity. During my time at National 4-H Congress, I had the honor of becoming close with several of the delegates from Puerto Rico 4-H, where when we hung out, I learned all about the Puerto Rican heritage and what 4-H projects that they offer. But not only in Puerto Rico, I was also partnered with delegates from California, Washington, Arizona, and North Carolina. Every 4-H program is incredibly different and everybody is passionate and have pride in their own cultures, no matter which state that they are from. Finally, we're realizing the impact of community service. Going back to the photo I just showed you of my friends from Puerto Rico, we were actually stationed inside of the Benton Elementary School library closet. We were stationed here for our day of community service, and our instructions were to organize the books inside of this closet based on the grade level and reading level. We realized the impact of just the smallest act of service in the end, but afterward, we organized the entire closet. The students ran and gave us hugs, and the teachers thanked us over and over again. Other delegates were sent to the Atlanta History Museum to do some basic yard work, and others were sent to different elementary schools to perform different jobs. But in the end, we all learned that the smallest act of community service can truly go a long way. The purpose of National 4-H Congress is pure and beautiful. But what do you get to do when you attend the National 4-H Congress? Although I could go on about what there is to do at National 4-H Congress, this is a basic summary. First, you attend different sessions that includes different speakers and delegate entertainers. Among this year's guest speakers were Dan Clark, the author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series and named one of the top 10 best motivational speakers in the world in 2019. Kelly Loeffler, the owner of the Atlanta Dream women's basketball team, and my personal favorite speaker this year, Manny Ohane, who takes pride in his culture down in South Africa, but is also now a world-known philanthropist with his project of giving every kid in the world a pair of shoes to wear. After your session, you get to attend different workshops. You either get to choose by random or choose on your own. This year, I was assigned to the agricultural science and yoga sessions. In agricultural science, I learned how to take with agriculture and science experiments through 4-H and put them together for future career success. And an hour later, I found myself in a 2-hour yoga session. But the other sessions available include Pilates, Zumba, Dancing with the Stars, and even proper social media usage in 4-H branding. Later on, you can do breakout activities with your fellow state delegates. My personal favorites being speed meeting, where you had 1 minute to have a face-to-face conversation with a complete stranger delegate from another state, and learning the value of teamwork through different exercises and experiences. Finally, we have the city tours, one where we got to choose before National 4-H Congress. Me personally, I chose the World of Coca-Cola Museum, where my fellow delegates and I had the opportunity to learn about the history of Coca-Cola, how they are made, and even experience a 4D movie on the history and making of the Coca-Cola products. But earlier in the week, we all attended the Atlanta History Museum for a night of culture. We saw traditional dances from Uganda, Africa, what dancing and projects looked like back in the 1920s in Great Britain, but also heard from this guy named Mr. Dan. And although at first glance, Mr. Dan looks like an ordinary guy who's really good at juggling, we soon find out that he's actually a traveling pediatric clown. He travels the country to pediatric hospitals, making children who are ill happier during these dire times. Now also during National 4-H Congress, we have different events that I truly love. The first one being the international event, where the session hallway was decorated with different country decorations around the world. In this particular picture, the background is decorated to look like an infrastructure from Japan. And in this station was traditional food you could find in Japan. We also had Germany, Russia, China, and the list continues with authentic foods from those areas. After the international dance is over later on in the week, we attended the National 4-H Congress Gala, when we were first treated to a traditional Puerto Rican dance from the delegates of Puerto Rico 4-H and sharing their culture with us. Later in the gala, we all got to dress up in our finest and enjoy a nice meal provided by the National 4-H Congress before officially ending the week with our own version of a 4-H dance. Now we have the question of how you can go to National 4-H Congress. Our Congress system goes by delegates, and a state delegate system is based on the amount of 4-Hers in that state. For Indiana, we get 9 total delegates. 8 of those delegates are chosen by sole application, but that final and 9th delegate is chosen as the state winner of Fashion Review at the Indiana State Fair. In order to apply for National 4-H Congress, you have to be in grades 9 through 12 and complete a basic application with essay questions regarding what community service means to you and understanding cultural diversity. Now that we understand what National 4-H Congress is, what you can do at Congress, and how you can apply, I just have one more question for you. After today, will you be a future National 4-H Congress delegate? I hope after this presentation, you just may consider it. If you were to ask a student a year ago how they felt about e-learning, chances are they may have been happy because e-learning meant they wouldn't have to make up that school day later on in the future. But ask a student that question today, and their answers may change drastically. As the COVID-19 pandemic has struck the United States, e-learning has become essential to continue with our schoolwork curriculum every single day. But now we ask ourselves the question of, is e-learning helping our students, or are they potentially setting our students back for future success? To answer this question, we'll first define what e-learning is, identify the pros and cons to e-learning, and look at some real-life statistics of middle school and high school students on how they felt e-learning treated them. We first define what e-learning is, which according to the United States Department of Education, e-learning is utilizing electronic technologies to access educational curriculum outside of your traditional classroom. Usually it refers to a course, program, or degree delivered completely online. To sum it up, it's classwork from home over a computer or computable device. Your first handout shows exactly what my e-learning assignments look like, the first being the instructions given by my classical literature teacher, and the second part being the actual assignment, which is a reading assignment over reading comprehension over a piece of Roman literature. There are some pros and cons to e-learning. One of the pros being exactly what I just talked about. If we were to be canceled for a snow day, say in January, instead of making up that day later on in March or even May, we could utilize e-learning to do that schoolwork for that particular day for our e-learning day. And now we don't have to make up that missed school day later on in the future. E-learning also can be low cost. Say, for example, you have a science teacher who wants to teach a curriculum based on a science experiment. Instead of purchasing all the materials needed for that experiment, e-learning could use that experimental curriculum completely online, saving that teacher and the school some money. Finally, e-learning can be adaptable with some walls to it. E-learning can be adapted to almost any subject within your normal classroom. My classical literature class was able to be adapted with e-learning, very simple. But on the flip side, my welding class was not helpful when it came to e-learning because every day we're in the welding lab doing on-hand work. But e-learning didn't allow us to do that, and we didn't fully grasp everything that our teacher wanted to teach us. Which brings us to the cons of e-learning. First, it cancels out different learning styles. Every student learns differently, whether it's visual, audio, or kinesthetic. Those who are visual and audio learners are susceptible to succeeding with e-learning because they have their on-screen curriculum in front of them and can easily adapt to the education. But those who are kinesthetic learners and learn by touching and doing are held back with the way that they learn and may not grasp their education as highly as those audio and visual learners. The lack of internet access continues to be a problem within Indiana and our country today, and especially with e-learning being so essential today, we wonder how needing e-learning is within those areas that don't have computable devices or internet access. Your second handout shows a graph from Purdue Extension from 2017 that shows the whole state of Indiana into what areas of the state have lack of computable devices and internet access in their own homes, showing that still today, the lack of internet access and devices to do e-learning is still a problem. Isolation plays a huge role when it comes to how e-learning can be a con to students, especially those who are younger, who feel more comfortable learning with their fellow classmates around them. Whereas for e-learning, they're either in their homes with their parents or guardians or siblings, but not their classmates that they feel more comfortable around to do their work. Finally, there's no doubt that technology has its issues, and e-learning is not against this. There's absolutely the chance that our e-learning assignments on technology could have malfunctions, and therefore our grades could be impacted just because of technological issues. E-learning in 2020 has become essential to continue with childhood education. For my school of Shelbyville High School, our last day was on March 13th, 2020, and our first e-learning day was March 30th and continued on until May 14th. Every student from kindergarten to 12th grade had to partake in e-learning. This was good, but also had some cons to it. This was basic learning, because we don't have that teacher in front of us to fully grasp our knowledge on the subject at hand. Some of our classes, which are requirements for graduating, may have been an issue for some students, and it got to a point where our elementary schools went to a pass-fail method to ensure their students could reach the next grade level. They're scared because we wouldn't be able to move our students up due to the lack of understanding the knowledge for our younger students. Now, to understand this a little more in depth, I asked real-life middle school and high school students on how they felt about e-learning. Exactly 18 middle school students and 18 high school students. The following graphs are in your third handout, which you can see more clearly and closer up. In the first question, I asked each student if they strongly agreed, disagreed, or strongly disagreed with the following statement. I truly grasped and understood the knowledge and curriculum given to me through e-learning. The middle school students mainly answered that they agreed, but the next group said they strongly agreed, strongly disagreed, and disagreed. But move over to the high school students, and the majority of them answered that they disagreed, that they did not fully grasp their curriculum. The next one being agreed, strongly disagreed, but nobody said they strongly agreed with this statement. Next, I asked them how many hours they spent a day on e-learning. The middle school students stated that they spent about 1 to 2 hours on e-learning, some less than an hour, some 3 to 4, and only 2 said they spent more than 4 hours. But if we move on to the high school students, the majority of the students said that they spent more than 4 hours on e-learning in just one day. The next being 3 to 4, 1 to 2, but nobody said that they spent less than 1 hour through e-learning. Different factors could come into play with these results, but it just comes to show that the littlest result of middle school versus high school can show how much time and effort we're putting into e-learning, but are we truly grasping that knowledge in the end? Now we come to the final question we've been waiting for. Is e-learning good or bad? The answer? It differs with everybody, but we can break it down into different grade levels. Those who are in kindergarten through 5th grade are engaged with technology nowadays, and e-learning can help with that. But we also have to know that little kids have shorter attention spans and may not want to sit on a computer all day doing their schoolwork. We also have to think about the instruction that little kids are given through kindergarten through 5th grade. Their alphabet, numbers, basic addition and subtraction, reading, writing, that they could be losing through e-learning for longer periods of time. After talking with my mom, who's a 6th grade math teacher at our local middle school, she told me that middle schoolers come with a 50-50 shot of is e-learning good or bad. Because in this stage in your life, you're learning what kind of student you are. Half the students will take e-learning as a time where they can enhance their growth in education and try their very hardest. But that other 50% won't care about e-learning and won't even try to do it. But we get down to our 9th through 12th graders, and they understand technology the best out of all of our age groups and have the most ability to succeed in e-learning. But at the same time, we're taking courses that we need to graduate, and we're not truly gaining that knowledge with e-learning. There's no doubt that we're not going to get rid of e-learning, now or in the future. But we have to remember what e-learning is and why we're utilizing it. Think about the kind of student you are and how you would take with e-learning. And I would hope that we take e-learning as a time to grow and to overcome these obstacles that we are in today. When I was going into my first year of 4-H just 5 years ago, my older cousin, who was in her 10th and final year of 4-H, gave me 3 pieces of advice for my future 4-H career. Always keep your eye on the judge in the show ring, work with your show steer every single day, and that you don't know trust until your partner is a 1,200-pound free spirit. She also only showed cattle in 4-H, and that's the advice that she gave me for my future. But looking back on it now, her advice can really relate to different areas of 4-H. Well, maybe except the 1,200-pound free spirit advice. That might only work for cattle. But when she says, always keep your eye on the judge in the show ring, this can translate into keeping your eye on what's truly important in 4-H, and that's learning. And working with your animal every single day can come back to working on your projects as often as possible to enhance your knowledge in that area. When I was going into my first year of 4-H, I wish I had somebody that gave me advice for different project areas. But as I'm finishing my 5th and final year of 4-H this year, there are 3 pieces of advice that I wish to give younger 4-H members for their future success. And those pieces of advice are not to be afraid to branch out into different projects and activities. If you do 4-H correctly, you will never lose. And that 4-H is more than just ribbons and banners, but there's a whole different aspect to it. In my first year of 4-H, I only showed 2 pigs and did child development and horseless horsemen. But as I was waiting in line for my projects to be judged in my first year, I remember looking around the project hall and seeing different posters and exhibits. Recycling, scrapbooking, and woodworking all really caught my eye and caught my attention. And that next year, I found myself doing even more projects than the previous year. A misconception with 4-H is that you have to be a farmer in order to show livestock. But in Shelby County 4-H, you can lease every single species, meaning you don't have to keep the animal at your own home, but can work the animal at the owner's house and still show it at the Shelby County Fair. This gives us better reason and motivation that we can branch out into different projects. If you're a 4-H'er that only does foods or scrapbooking, don't be afraid to try something brand new. Maybe lease a dairy heifer, or maybe a sheep. You can't be afraid to stay in your bubble, but branching out can be scary. But once we gain the courage to try something brand new, we can see a completely different side of 4-H that wasn't visible to us before. One thing I always tell my younger 4-H mentees about 4-H is that if you do it correctly, you will never lose. But I always get weird looks as I say this. Yes, sometimes we're not going to win the big prize. Maybe you're the reserve grand champion steer, or maybe you get a red ribbon with your general project. But as you look back as to how you got your project to the fair that year, think on how you progressed throughout that project area. In my first year doing the woodworking project, I had very little experience with the bandsaw and the drill press. But as I gained my knowledge in this area, I learned how to sand my wood, how to properly cut my wood with the bandsaw, and using different styles of wood and infrastructures to create my project. Although my project that year didn't win, I still learned more about the woodworking industry than I did before, and in that specific area, I didn't lose because I still learned and grew as an individual. Each year that I show a different animal, I yet still to this day haven't won the big prize yet. But as I finished each show, I realized that I didn't lose because one, I tried my hardest, and 2, I grew as a leader and as an individual throughout that project. As I'm teaching my younger mentee now, who's my niece, in her first year of 4-H, she's learning how to take care of her little landrace gilt. Every day she's at the barn, feeding and working her animal, and even if she doesn't do well at the county fair this year as she would want to, I'm going to talk to her afterwards and ask her what she learned throughout the year. And if she can tell me something she's gained from this experience of showing swine, that right there will tell her that she won something. It may not have been the banner, but it was more of life skills she can use for the rest of her 4-H career and throughout her life. Adding on to the fact that if you do 4-H correctly, you simply can't lose, we move on to a quote that I still hang up on my bedroom wall. 4-H is just more than banners and ribbons and trophies. It's about the experiences, the people, the county and state fairs, and the lessons learned through our projects and activities. Throughout my general projects career, I have learned different skill areas and different aspects of 4-H. I learned how to sew with the sewing project, how to properly cook with foods, and how to create something out of wood through woodworking. But also through livestock, where I've shown different species such as swine, sheep, dairy cattle, and even an alpaca. It's the experiences I have during those projects that makes everything worthwhile. I haven't won the big prize yet, but I don't want the big prize in the end. Because I look back at the county fairs these last 5 years, and I have endless memories that I will keep with me forever. And that right there should be your prime reasoning for continuing 4-H. Not for the banner, not for the ribbon, but for those experiences and the friends you're going to make along the way. Though my time in 4-H has come to an end, I will continue to advocate for this incredible organization for the rest of my life. I will share with those younger 4-Hers, don't be afraid to branch out into different project areas. If you do 4-H correctly, you simply cannot lose. And now 4-H is more than just banners and trophies and awards, but it's about the people, the experiences, and the memories that will last forever. Shelby County 4-H has made such an impact on my life, and I can't thank them enough for everything that they have done for me. From showing my livestock to attending the National 4-H Congress, every 4-H experience has been life-altering for me in the best way possible. Shelby County and Indiana 4-H, thank you for making these last 5 years absolutely incredible. Signed off for the final time, Julia Hamblin.
Hello, my name is Camille Thope, and today I'll be showing you how to do proper sheep hoof care. The reason why I trim my sheep's hooves is to not only help keep them comfortable, but so they also don't have difficulty walking or soreness. It also helps keep them healthy so they don't have a lower infection and disease tolerance, as well as a loss of performance. Poor health can also lead to a loss of profit because the animal may need to spend more time on feed to reach market weight. There are different parts of the sheep hoof. We have the interdigital skin, which is the skin between the two sides of the hoof, the interdigital space, which is the space between the two sides of the hoof, the heel, the sole, which is also called soft horn, the white line, which is where the sole meets the hoof wall, the wall horn, which is also called the hoof wall, and finally, the toe of the hoof. There are different ways to restrain sheep. Today, I'm using a sheep and goat fitting stand, but you can also use a sheep chair or the sheep tipping method, both of which achieve the same goal of keeping the animal calm and relaxed so you can trim their hooves, shear them, or perform any other medical needs. So there are different signs that you need to trim your sheep's hooves. One of those is overgrowth. You can see the side on the left has not been trimmed versus the right, which has been. Foot rot, and white line disease, which is where the hoof wall separates from the sole. Or you can trim your sheep's hooves every 2 to 3 months as proper maintenance. What you'll need to trim your sheep's hooves are a pair of sheep and goat hoof trimmers. If you don't have a set of these, you can also use pruning shears, or a hoof knife, which can be used to even up the bottom and trim off extreme excess. Since we are doing a regular maintenance trim today, we will not need this. So to trim your sheep's hooves, you're going to want to put on a good pair of leather gloves to prevent from cutting yourself, as well as have a first aid kit on standby if you were to cut through your gloves. To start the trimming process, you're going to grab your sheep and goat hoof trimmers, pick up the sheep's hoof, and go along the side and trim off the excess growth. And then you're going to go and trim off the toes. You can go ahead and just leave those flat because the animal will round those off by walking. And then you're going to want to stop trimming at the first sign of pinkness to make sure that you do not cut the animal's hoof. If you do on accident, which is very common, you can use Wonder Dust or regular baking flour to help stop the bleeding if it does not clot within the first few minutes. There are different problems with over trimming your sheep's hooves. One of those is bleeding, which can lead to infection and soreness. So to treat infection and soreness in your sheep's hoof, you're going to want to clean and trim your hoof if you haven't already. And then if possible, take your hoof knife and cut open the infected area. If it's not visible, then you don't need to do this. But if possible, go ahead and cut that with a hoof knife or scalpel to help relieve all of the built up infection. Then, to make sure that everything stays sanitary, you're going to want to put on a latex glove on the hand that will be handling the hoof. And take hydrogen peroxide and spray off your hoof or use a proper hoof ointment. Then you will want to put gauze on the bottom of the hoof. And securely wrap with vet wrap. If you're going to be treating this daily, you will want to just stop at this step so you can easily remove the bandage. But if you're going to leave it on for an extended period of time, like a week, you can wrap it with duct tape or put a sheep and goat hoof boot on there to help keep out excess bacteria and moisture while your infection heals. If you're wrapping it with duct tape, make sure to be careful to not get your duct tape on the sheep's wool so it'll be easier to remove. So what did we learn today? We learned that proper sheep hoof care prevents disease, infection, soreness, discomfort, as well as the potential spread of infection and disease to the rest of your flock and neighboring flocks. It also saves producers time and money. Thank you.